Real stories,
Real people.
Real heroes.
the Real Heroes Network.
All right, what up? What up? What's going on, everybody out there? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Real Heroes here on the Real Heroes Network. I am your host, Jesse, aka Blessy Caban, and tonight's episode is going to be dope, man. Tonight's episode, I have a very special someone here with me. It's funny because we just met in person less than a week ago, but I feel like I've known him for years because his sister would talk about him every single time that she had an opportunity. He's getting out, Jesse. He's getting out. When he gets out, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you're going to get to meet him. And she was talking and talking and talking. And it's crazy because during those conversations, it's like you know something is probably going to happen, but you don't really anticipate when that day actually comes. So it was surreal for me when we actually ended up meeting. I'm like it really happened. Like, this dude is actually here. And we ended up hitting it off from then to we can talk about all that stuff later. But ladies and gentlemen, I have Noel here with me. Let's give him a nice little round of applause here.
Yeah,
Oh man, how you feeling, man?
man, it feels good being out, man. I mean, yeah, I think 20 years is definitely 2 decades, man.
Yeah, it's a
Mm,
lot has changed over the past 20 years. For those of you who don't know this young man right here, he spent 20 years locked up behind bars. And in 20 years, man, the whole world changed around you. And now finally you're out, you're free, and you're living your life. And I'm sure everything is just completely different from what you're used to.
Everything's different. I mean, you gotta think, when I went in, we didn't even have iPhones and none of that stuff. We had flip phones and Skyway pages. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it
You
was
gotta
for
think,
it
yeah,
feels like it was forever ago.
we still had quarter phones. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
you
you
don't
gotta
see any
think.
of those no more.
No, you don't see those. I mean, if you don't find those, you can't even find a phone, a mailbox nowadays. It
Yeah,
seems
nah.
like.
The whole world is a completely different place, man. But
Uh,
so let's just get right into it. Start at the beginning. So tell me about, but before pre you, getting locked up. What was life like? Where you from? Tell the people your story.
well, for y'all don't know, my name is Noel Rivera. Uh, I was typical 18, 19-year old at the time. Like, you know what I mean? I was, yes, I was involved in the streets a little bit, you know what I mean? But I worked, I had always had a job and everything, you know what I mean? But I got caught up in the streets a little bit. But prior to that, like I said, doing the I was doing the civil thing basically. I was had a girlfriend, stepkids, and all that. I was living a normal life basically, and at that time I was, you know what I mean, just going through everyday life, and then I had an incident where I had a girl pregnant. She had a kid, and child didn't live. It really
Oh,
hit me hard. It really hit me hard, and uh, man, I just got dug into the drugs. Like within 2 weeks after she passed, I got into the drugs and ended up committing some robberies. Got into a fight with the police, and the court system sentenced me to 20 years, 20 to 40 years.
so now when this all happened, you're, 18, 19 years old. Like, how do you, I mean, think about that now. So I'm 31 years old right now. I couldn't even imagine going through that now, let alone being a teenager. Because, you know what I mean? Like, nobody really prepares you for stuff like that. You just got to experience it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I had a little tough upbringing. I mean, I dealt with some things as far as like I've been to juvenile facility, not because I did anything wrong. It's because at that time, you know what I mean, my mother was going through her issues and everything. I was getting placed in group homes and I used to run away. So I had that kind of knowledge of like juvenile facilities, but nobody prepares you for prison. Nobody, I mean, you see movies and all that. Nah, listen,
Mhm.
movies, Oz and all that, that got nothing to do with, that has nothing to do with what real prison is, you know what I mean? And being a 19-year-old kid going into, you know what I mean, an environment of hardened criminals, you know what I mean? nobody prepares you for that. You know what I mean? I can tell you a story. First day I get into the prison. You know what I mean? I'm walking with my property to the housing unit I was going to, and you got guys fighting right there. You know what I mean? So
Does
I'm like,
that
oh,
so that's your first
it,
introduction to what life's gonna be like?
exactly. First introduction into the prison. I'm walking down the walkway to the housing unit, and you got guys going at it, like heavy and hard. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit. Like I gotta deal with this now. Like I gotta put my head on my swivel. You know what I mean? So, but a lot of it was like, you know what I mean? You gotta think about it. I was 19 years old. I matured in jail. I grew up in jail. So that was the environment I knew. And now to be out here now, I mean, like I said, before I went to jail, yeah, I was playing the adult. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't an adult yet. But, you know what I mean? You go in jail, it's like you learn things. You know what I mean? You experience that environment, and then now look at it 20 years later. Now I'm introduced to the world. Look, I'm coming out to COVID. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like come on, it's 20 years later, and I'm not coming out to the world. I'm coming out to, I mean, the world is right now is not even the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're coming home and you're thinking you're gonna finally get to experience the world, and the world right now isn't even the same as what we're used to. So it's as new to you as it is new to me. That's crazy, man. So 19 years old, tough upbringing, you're going through some personal issues, start to get into some things, just to kind of cope with what's going on around you, end up getting locked up. So tell me about life in prison, man. I know you're talking about it's not like the movies, it's not how people think it is. And I mean, you'll hear a bunch of people talk about it, but what was life like after 20 years, man?
I mean, in them 20 years, like I said, I mean, I went to jail. Like, my sister. My sister was, she was, 21 at the time. My little sister was like 16 years old, and I had another sister, Zuli. She was 20 at the time. You know what I mean? And now I come to see them. They're all adults. You know what I mean? God rest her soul, my sister passed away in the time when I was in jail. I mean, that's one of the hardest things to do is being there, and people pass away. You can't be there personally and all that. And it's like, I still think about that stuff, but I mean, it's just like I come home, it's like my sister's an adult. She got a career, she's successful. My little sister, she didn't have kids. Now she got kids. You know what I mean? It's so crazy because I'm still getting to know my nephews and nieces that were born during the time I was in jail. You know what I mean? And it's like, you write letters, you see pictures, but to actually get to see him personally, you know what I mean? Because even in the visits, they'll come up to visit. You know what I mean? You get a visit for an hour, you really can't get to know somebody an hour.
Yeah, no. I used to go visit my dad a lot. My dad was, locked up a lot, and in that you get that hour with him, but the first 10 or 15 minutes and the last 10 or 15 minutes is all like emotions, like you're happy to see them.
Exactly.
And then when you got that last little bit, it's like that you're about to leave, so you start getting choked. So you really only get that middle maybe 30 minutes to actually talk, and then by that point, I mean, it's all over.
Yeah, it's true because like, and the visits, don't get it twisted. Them visits are definitely, they get you through. You know what I mean? Visits, phone calls, letters, cards like that, they get you through them times in jail because, sometimes, like I said, in prison, 20 years, like I said, I was a kid. After I got, my first couple of years in prison, I cannot lie about it. I got into fights. I got into an incident where, weapons were involved and stuff like that. But it took me 9 months in the hole to realize, like, damn, like, I'm messing up my chance to go home, in 20 years, because 24 years don't mean they're going to let you out in 20 years, they can keep you there for 40 years.
Yeah, they'll
that's the maximum time.
Find any reason to keep you in.
Right, and I started to realize, and then I had a deep conversation with my sisters, like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, come on, get your shit right, get your head right, come home to the family. You know what I mean? And I don't know, that it finally hit me. I started changing there. I wasn't the badass that I was in there. I started to fall back a little bit. You know, I started to get educations while I was in there. I started working the kitchen. I was a cook there. Then I went maintenance, learned some skills and trades there. And then for like 15 years, I was in the barber shop up there, and I got my license. I started to be a teacher's aide, and for 15 years, that's what I did. And while I was in there, you know what I mean, I started to help motivate some of the guys. Like, I started, you know, as a barber, it's one of the crazy things about being a barber. You know, a barber, they say, oh, he's a counselor. He listens to your deep thoughts. You know, if you go to a barber shop, what happens? You have conversations in the barber shop.
Especially if you got a good relationship with your barber, you tell him everything.
Exactly. So when I was there, you know, you get to see the guys from all through the jail, some of the younger guys that come through, and you get to be like a big brother or counselor or whatever, and you give them guys like, yo, man, get your shit right. You know what I mean? Go get an education. You ain't got GD, go get your GD. You ain't got nothing but time here.
Mm-hmm.
Make something positive out of it. So I used to try to coax dudes to do things like that. You know what I mean? And in that time, like I said, them 15 years, you know what I mean? I had a couple guys that come through, and they changed a lot. Like right now, I work in the barber shop. One of the guy that owns the barber shop, even though he was a childhood friend, you know what I mean? He came through. He ended up being one of my students, got a barber shop. What did he do? I come home. He gave me a shot from the rip. Was home 2 days. He was like, yo, you home? I got a chair for you. Come cut here. You my man. You help me out. You help me get my license. Let me help you out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. That's what happened. You know what I mean?
Damn, that's insane. I mean, that just goes to show that, you know, the relationship you end up building with people, you never know when it's gonna come back around, man. It could have been years before you guys bumped into each other, if at all, once you got out, and to see what happened after that is just crazy, man.
No, it's so crazy because today, you know, I was with my lady today, and a friend of mine called me. He's like, yo, you know what I mean? One of my best friends while he was up there, man, the joy that he had when he found that out that I was home.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yo, tomorrow I'm coming to see you. This. Like the ecstatic, how ecstatic he was in his message. You know what I mean? Because he gave me a voice message on, man. He was like, I mean, if I could have seen him, he probably would have been jumping for joy when he found out that I was home. It's crazy because like you get like in there, like I said, the prison is prison, but it's a small community.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, it's a small community. So you get to know people from different walks of life, different races, different ages. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you get that how you say that camaraderie for being with somebody in jail, because you build relationships and stuff like that. You build friendships. You know what I mean? And some friendships, they won't last past them walls, but you have them there. You know what I mean? But it's crazy. Like the prison, being in prison is definitely growing up in there. It's like, it is definitely hard because, like I said, you know what I mean, 20 years. We got friends that was out in the streets that were young at your age. Now they're grown adult. They got kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've yet to have that opportunity, but God willing, if that happens, I have my own. But like I said, it's strange coming out here 20 years later because, I mean, I've seen the world through TV and read magazines and whatnot, but to really see it now is like, it's definitely a shock.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I want to touch on. I want to go back to, so first going in, you know what I mean, badass, you got a reputation, you're, you know, in and out of the hole. I mean, you spent 9 months in the hole. I know people talk about, you know, you hear about it and you see about it on TV, but for someone who's actually been in there, what's that like, man, being isolated from everybody and everything?
You gotta think, 9 months in the hole. So you're in the hole in the cell. You come out 3 times a week for an hour. And in that hour, you get either go out to the pen for the yard time, rec time, which, or you go take a shower and you're back into your cell.
Damn.
So imagine where you're, I mean, you're basically in jail, in a jail. So, I mean, what can you do? Sleep all day, read books. That's it. You don't have no TV, no radio, no nothing. You got a vent where you can talk to your next door neighbor. Like after a while, you know what I mean? You get so, you get stir crazy. Believe me, you get stir crazy because you can't sleep all day. After a while, you don't know the difference between day and night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Then you got, I mean, after a while, you start making games and stuff. You know what I mean? You start singing, and I mean, you get stir crazy. I mean, it's to the point where I started to become a chess player in the hole. You know what I mean? I learned how to play chess in the hole. You know what I mean?
Damn.
My next door neighbor, I'm through the vent, and this is what piece does this, and I made a board in my cell and made pieces out of toilet paper and learned how to play chess in there.
Damn, that's great.
calling out moves.
Damn, that's insane, man. So you spent 9 months in the hole. Now, how long were you in jail when that happened? And then right around that time, is that when you started to, when your sister started to kind of talk you on the right path?
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? Like to this day, she really doesn't know the whole incident, what happened. You know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? That 9 months, it was like, the whole incident jumped off was go out to visit. A friend of mine's come up there with her daughter to see me and all this. What happened was there was a guy said something crazy about the little girl, and I snapped out on him. You know what I mean? Got into the incident in the yard. Weapons were involved. I got banged for it. I went to the hole for the 9 months. And in that 9 months, like I said, you know what I mean? My sister will write me, because that's all you can do. You can't get no phone calls, nothing. So you can get your letters and stuff. And my sister just basically told me, like, listen, I'm tired. Every time I want to come up to see you, I can't see you because you're in the hole. And she basically told me, like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to live your life like that in a hole? You know what I mean? Or do you want to be able to I'd be able to come up to see you so you get to meet your nephew and nieces and stuff like that, and mom and all this stuff. And she persuaded, she was like, listen, man, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to help you out as far as an outlet so you don't get yourself in trouble? And she knew I loved to draw and paint. So my sister went, she spent almost $400 on art supplies and sent them to me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when she did that, I was like, yeah, she really, you know what I mean? Like really trying to help me out. And that's what I did. Like I started, you know what I mean? I ended up actually not perfecting, but bettering my craft in art.
That's dope, man.
Because of that.
That's dope.
And listen, I used to send her off, my nephews and nieces, her every holiday, birthday, special occasion, I would send art to them. You know what I mean? Just showing my appreciation. And it was just, like I said, it was that whole time, not only just the conversation with her, but just the fact that, like they say, being in jail and you getting in trouble, all you're doing is throwing rocks at your exit.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. When you're getting in trouble in jail and you're doing dumb shit, that's all you're doing. You're throwing rocks at your exit. Because dudes don't realize you get whatever sentence it is. It could be a 2 to 5. You could do 2 years, but in that 2 years you would get into trouble. Parole board doesn't have to release you.
Mm-mm.
They can keep you for 5. You know what I mean? For that 5 years, they don't care. To them, you're, I can say, not only a statistic, whatever, but you're also a state property. Because you think about it. For me being in prison, it costs roughly about $42,000 to $48,000 a year. They don't spend that much on you in jail. I don't care what anybody's. They not spending that in 1 year for you to house you in the jail. And say you got medical issues. Say you have medical issues, that shit can go from $48,000 to $56,000 a year. They don't care. That money is used for the system.
Oh yeah,
Building new
yeah. It's a
prisons,
business.
whatnot, stuff like that.
It's a
It's a
business.
business. You know what I mean? But it's like you see that and you start thinking about like, damn man, like I want to go home on my minimum. I don't want to do more than 20 years.
Yeah, man.
That's what I did. And I started realizing I was like, I ain't doing nothing but hurting myself. I want to leave exactly 20 years. I don't want to do a day over 20 years. And that's what I did. You know what I mean?
What's it like? I mean, when you first got locked up, you were the new guy. You know, you were the new guy. You're a teenager. You're young in there. And then as the years start to go by, you all of a sudden become that older guy, kind of mentoring some of the younger people. What's that like going through that transition?
You know what? It took me, like I said, you know what I mean? When you go to jail, sometimes you have to fight to get respect and stuff like that. And like I said, the younger guys, you know, they get picked on by the older guys. You got, like I said, you got predators and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Being that I was 19, after my first fight, I got the respect. Like, all right, he knows how to fight. He knows how to handle himself. We're not going to mess with him. But the thing about it is like, over the years, you start seeing the younger kids come in when you're that age, and you start telling them like, damn, don't do the shit that I was doing. You know what I mean? Because you ain't doing nothing but hurt yourself. And in that time, you know what I mean? It definitely, I ain't gonna front the first couple of years. Like, I'm gonna say, not even the first couple of years. That first year definitely was scary because the jail I went to, there was a lot of older guys that were kicked out of from other jails because they were into fights and stabbings and shit like that. So I had to be real reserved. You know what I mean? So I didn't really associate with too many people. You know what I mean? Because in some prisons, they click up. So you got guys from Philly, Pittsburgh, and all that. I'm from Lancaster. They look at Lancaster like, oh, you're from Amish country. You ain't from no big city or something. So they'll look at you like almost like a prey. You know what I mean? So in that time, what I did was I got to meet people and they started to see, all right, he's a cool dude. This. So I got a little bit more respect and all that. But in that time, like I said, now that I see it, because I had couple old heads that took me on the wing and all that stuff. And I just passed the buck. Because that's what you do most of the time. You pass the buck. Especially if you're not in that same mind frame that you was when you first came in. You start passing the buck because you don't want dudes to keep being statistics.
Yeah, see,
in jail.
It's crazy going through that transition, seeing yourself as being the new guy on the block, and then all of a sudden you're mentoring some, and then you talk about being in the barbershop. Did you always want to cut hair, or did you just figure it was an easy way to pass time while being locked up?
I shit you not. That was one of them things that just fell on my lap because, like I said, you know what I mean? I'm an artist, so I've always drew. I did tattoos in there and stuff like that. And what happened was that I had a cellie, you know, he was a black guy, and he needed a haircut. He wasn't able to get to the barbershop. So he showed me how to take a razor apart and actually cut hair. So I'm cutting his hair, and I ended up picking it up. And after a while, dudes started to come at me, yo, you know, I got $5 for you. Can you cut my hair? So I started cutting hair on the block. You know what I mean? In my cell, I'm in there Saturday, Sunday mornings. I'm giving dudes haircuts and shape-ups so they can go out to the visit. And actually, one of the CEOs, like, you're not supposed to open a razor. You know what I mean?
I was going to say I can use it as a weapon, yeah.
Yeah, so what happened was I'm in there cutting hair, and one of the CEOs, I befriended a couple of CEOs while I was in there. He seen me. He was like, yo, man, why don't you go in the barbershop instead of just doing this in the cell? So he was like, you can get your license and all that. So I was like, you know what? And I was like, yo, if you can help me out, get in there, I'm going to do it. He pulled some strings, got me pulled into the barbershop, and I was in there ever since, man.
Damn, 15 years. Be for real, were you nice right away, or did it take a little while?
You know what? I shit you not. It took me a week. It took me 1 week to pick it up. You know what I mean? Because there was a guy that was in there from Lancaster. He was an older guy. He knew my father, and he was the teacher's aide at that time. and he was like, he showed me the way he cut, and like the way he cut ain't the way I cut now. But I was able to take the way he showed me and make it my style. So I was able to pick it up real quick. You know what I mean? And then, like, I was one of them guys. I was in there. I wasn't in there just to get my license, just to have it. I used to always bug the teacher, yo, show me this, show me that. Like, I was really intrigued at it. Once I started to get nice with it, like, I did everything that I could. I would always bug the teacher, or the teacher say, yo, show me this, show me that. And I would pick it up. And within, I'm going to say a month, I was good. I was one of the best ones in there. You know what I mean? Mother was like, yo, I'm going to Wells chair. I'm going to Noel's chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope,
and,
man.
And it was crazy because, you know what I mean? It was one of the things that, like I said, I'm a sponge when it comes to learning things. So, like the book stuff and all the schooling part, I picked that up easily. You know what I mean? Like I got my license. It takes 18 months to usually get your license. I got mine in 10 months.
Oh damn! Yeah, how you get it so fast?
Yeah, because I did all the schoolwork so quick. Like I said, I picked it up so easily that the teacher was like, "Yo, you ready? Go take your license now." You know what I mean? I only missed a perfect score by like 4 points.
Oh damn! That's dope.
So I was able to get my license, and once I got my license, Emilio left, and I ended up getting the teacher's aide position. And I was there the whole time as a teacher's aide.
Man, that's insane, man. I mean, talk about now how much easier did it make your time being locked up, being able to cut hair and have a job that you actually like doing?
It was so bad because I think being in the barbershop kept me from getting into more trouble because, you know, that's a job. So you're not on the block. You're not in the yard. So you're not around all the shit that's going on in jail, all the jailhouse politics. You know what I mean? You got the gangs. You got, you know what I mean? Sometimes racial things go in effect and all that. I wasn't around that because I was at my job all day. Like I would go at 8 o'clock in the morning and wouldn't come back to the house unit till like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I wasn't around all the dumb shit that was happening there. So, and then at nighttime, I might go to the gym, come back, take a shower. At 8 o'clock, I'm shutting it down already because I know I got to wake up the next morning early to go back to work.
Do it all over again.
Right. So it helped me. Being in the barbershop definitely helped me because it kept me away from a lot of the bullshit that was going in jail. So, I mean, it definitely helped.
So I mean, being a teenager, going through what you went through, getting locked up, doing 20 years, and then being in the barbershop, you know what I mean, having the support from your family and friends, like, and then coming home. Tell me what it was like to finally come home after 20 years.
Man, listen, all right. So the process there is that you usually, like, I was leaving. I would have left that Monday, but it was a holiday, it was Labor Day, so I couldn't leave that day. So Friday, I packed up all my property, took it up the property. So I'm like, you know, because you gotta say, I knew I was going home almost 3 months ahead of schedule because I seen the parole board early. You know what I mean? So I already knew. So for the last 3 months, we were dealing with COVID in there. So you know, the days were long and all that. And when that Tuesday morning came and it was like, I couldn't even sleep the night before. I was up and you know, I pack up my stuff. I give whatever to my friends, say what's up, bye, and everything. And they call me and they say, all right, they're here. You know what I mean? I couldn't get out that door quick enough. You know what I mean? But just to see my sisters and my niece there waiting for me in the parking lot, like I was so mad because I wanted to just hug them right then and there, and I couldn't because of the protocol, because of the COVID. Like we went to the nearest Turkey Hill, which was around the block. And as soon as we parked, my sisters jumped on me, and I mean, listen, I was so elated, you know what I mean? But it was so crazy because it's like, my sisters was like, yo, take all that state shit off. We got clothes for you. And it's so bad. I had a brand new t-shirt. And I'm like, where's the t-shirt? And my sister's like, I threw that shit in the trash. You don't want none of it. I want you to remember that and shit. Yeah, Samara was off the hook. I'm like, yo, that shirt was new. She was like, I don't care. I got you new clothes. You know what I mean? But it was so crazy because I'm in the back seat. My sister, my niece gave me the phone. So I'm like, yo, what the hell is this? She was like, oh, it's the phone. So I'm like, how do you? I'm trying to press the joy. She's like, no, you turn it on this way. And I'm like, I mean, I just thinking about that, just the memory of that is crazy. But you know, that first night it was strange because like I still went to sleep at the same time that I was going to sleep in jail.
That's what you're used
to.
to.
To this day, listen, 2.5 months home, and I still wake up at the same time that I was waking up in jail. I'm up at 7 o'clock every day, like clockwork. No alarm, no nothing. I wake up. You know what I mean? And
Body's
it's
just
crazy
used to
because
that.
my body's so used to it, but it's just the everyday process. Like I'm out. You know what I mean? Like my first month home, like every morning when I wake up, I go to the backyard, sit out there in the backyard, and just look at the sky, breathe in the air. You know what I mean? And it's like it feels fake, but I know it's real. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, it's like surreal. It's like you know it's happening,
yeah,
but you
it's a
you're having a
surreal
hard time
moment.
believing it.
Yeah, it's like it's a surreal moment, but it's like it's more of like, man, 20 years and I'm out here now. Like there's so much I want to do, and it's just like sometimes it's just hard to do it because it seems like in jail it seems like time is infinite. Out here it seems like time goes so quick.
Yeah,
I don't have enough time in the day to do the shit that I want to do. You know what I mean? And it seems like I'm like I want to do this, but I feel like I'm spread thin because I ain't got enough time to do it. Like in jail, it seemed like I had enough time that I could do everything I needed to do.
Yeah, it's
Here
crazy.
It doesn't seem like that.
Tell me what it was like. I seen the video of you surprising your mom when you got home, but tell me what that was like to be there.
No, because we're in the car, we're driving back from the jail I was at, and we're driving, and we're trying to figure out. Me and my sister are trying to figure out a way to surprise my mom. So Samara was like, "Listen, I'm gonna go in the house and I'm gonna talk to mommy, but you're gonna call and you're gonna be like talking to her, and then just hang up the phone because my mom doesn't know how to use the phones like that. So." You know what I mean? She'll think the phone just that she hung up the phone and everything. So we was like, and then you'll come to the door, knock on the door, and when she opened the door, she's gonna be surprised that you're there. Because my mom knew I was coming home, she just didn't know what day. The only person that knew I was coming home was Samara. She knew the actual day. So it was crazy. So it was like when my mom the way my mom was hugging me and touching me, like she thought I was like a ghost.
Yeah,
like it was not real. So she's touching me and patting me and like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like I can feel the joy as clear as day. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah, man.
It's crazy because she didn't expect it.
From knowing Zio, me and her getting real close, and then knowing the family, and I've met and talked to your mom a bunch of times, and seeing her on that video, I was like, it's choking me up because I'm like, because I feel like I know her, so just seeing she kept touching your face, and like it was almost like she couldn't believe that you were standing right there. She went, yeah, she went crazy.
Yeah, she definitely was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like she could not believe that I was actually there. Cause I knew listen, if my mom could have, she would have been the first one at the jail to pick me up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I was like, no, Mom. I was like, show me, don't tell nobody. You know what I mean? So it's like because I wanted to surprise so many people. It was just everybody that I seen, everybody, all my family, my aunt that I went to go visit. Listen, their emotion, the way they was and everything when they finally seen me in the flesh, priceless. I still remember that shit clear as day. Like it just happened yesterday or this morning.
What's that like? I mean, I know I have a lot of people, my family, some friends, and just people who I know of who come out and who don't have a support system, and it's like real easy to fall back into the same old habits. What's it like having, I mean, your whole family, but especially a sister that just that
tell you
rides
this,
for you so hard?
I tell you this, listen, you know what I mean? I can understand if guys don't have that support system come home to after because no BS. Like I could have got lost in jail if it wasn't for my sisters. You know what I mean? My mother. You know what I mean? One or two friends that kept it real during my whole bid. I could have lost myself in there. I could have got lost in the politics of jail and just been another statistic in jail. And to have that now, even when I come home, is beautiful because, like I said, my sister was living, you know what I mean? She had a nice spot. But when the landlord said I couldn't live there, listen, within a month, she moved out of her house and went and got another spot just to make sure that I had somewhere to live at.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
remember that as clear as day. She hit me up and said, "Hey, brother's coming home, but I need somewhere to live." And me and her were searching apartments. She was so again for anybody out there who doesn't know, Ziamara is who we're talking about. So I started working with Zio in like 2000, like about 3 years ago. And you know, after like a few weeks of like feeling each other out, we actually hit it off. That's like big sister to me right there. And so she would talk about you all the time. Jesse, I can't wait for my brother to come home. I can't wait. And she would, you know, tell me a little bit about you and just the family and all that. And it was funny because I kind of felt like I was like intertwined in the family at the same time. Like we had never met before, we had never talked before, but she would always, you guys are gonna hit it off, you guys are gonna be cool, you know, he's this and he's that, and I'm like, you know, it's perfect. So when I seen the videos and when she told me you were coming home and like she was just watching everything she did from getting a new place to helping you with the car to the party. I seen the party they threw for you, like your family went. Yeah, they went.
Listen,
I mean, after 20
it's
years,
crazy.
it makes sense, but
No,
they went.
it's crazy you say that because I have a cousin, my cousin Lewis.
Mhm.
He has a daughter, and he used to tell his daughter about me all the time. And I remember when I went to go see her like about a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Yo, this is my cousin, the one I used to talk about." And because she used to always say, "Oh, I don't believe you, I don't believe you," because you know what I mean, she never seen me or nothing. And she used to always think like the stories he used to tell about me were just made up stories. You know what I mean? And when she finally see me, she was like, "Oh, you are really like." She thought, she was like, "I thought Dad was lying about some of the stuff he used to do and how he was and everything." And I'm like, and it's crazy because like you said, you see how big my family was and all that, and I have cousins and nieces and whatnot and stuff like I never met, and that shit was beautiful just seeing all of them there, them showing up and all that. And I was like, you know what I mean, just to see all the love and the support that I have and do, that's just great because like I said, before I went to jail, I was close just with my sisters, you know what I mean, and my mother. And I wasn't as close with the rest of my family. And for them to be as supportive as they are now, you know what I mean? That shit showed a lot to me. How much my family loved me and missed me.
That's crazy. It definitely helps turn the life around, man. I know so Zoe has a very special place in my heart. That's my little homie right there. But what was it like coming out? I know you talked about it a little bit earlier, but coming out and you got nieces and nephews who were you don't really know all like that, and coming out and some of them are, I know, a lot older. There's some younger ones. I mean, just like getting to know people.
I mean, you gotta think, Destiny. You know, Destiny was just born when I came to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? JoJo was 3 years old. You know what I mean? Look at him now. He's a grown man. You know what I mean? Destiny, she's a grown woman now. You know what I mean? And Zoe, at least I get to, experience Zoe now. She's young. You know what I mean? Like this morning, I had her this morning at school with her, cooked her breakfast, just spending time with her and playing games with her and stuff like that. It's like the moments, it's like things I used to think about and dream about while I was in jail. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like to be able to finally, look at the zombie run. Me and my sisters used to talk about that all the time.
I was gonna talk about that too.
We talk about like, she knows how I am. I'm active. I like sports. I like things like that. While I was in jail, I did powerlifting meets, CrossFit meets. And I used to always talk about, when I get home, we're gonna have to get a bunch of people and we gotta do a mud run or something like that. And she was like, "Oh, we do the zombie run. You gotta do it." And listen, as soon as I came home, she told me, "Oh, the zombie." I was like, "Oh, but here, Here's the money. Put me down. I'm right there with it. I'm doing this.
It's funny because
This
I was
is right
like,
up my alleyway.
everybody out there knows you as Noel the Survivor, but I know you as like the 5K, the zombie 5K run survivor because we got through it. I mean, what's it like being in jail and thinking about you? When I get out, I'm gonna do all this stuff. And then last Saturday, for those of you who don't know, we did every year. Me, Zio, and a couple coworkers do a zombie run 5K. The proceeds go to breast cancer research. And Noel, this is fresh out. This was the first year he was able to join us. I mean, what's it like dreaming about being able to do stuff and then finally being out and you're looking around and we're covered in mud doing obstacle courses but just having fun, man?
Listen, it was great. You see how I was dug in all the way on it. Like I was all the way in on that shit. You know what I mean? Like I said, it got to the point. Like I said, like if they was able to do that shit on a regular, I'll be right there to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, my next thing, I want to do a mud run. But just a lot of them things, like you think about, like over 20 years, you know what I mean? You see a lot of shit that's new and all that. Look at how Lancaster changed. Right? Lancaster wasn't like this when I first went to jail. You know what I mean? Now it's almost considered the way they fixed everything up was like a big city now. You know what I mean? And I look at all the new stuff that happened. Look at what my sisters did. You know, I was talking about, when I get home, I want to get my license. I want to be legit. I want to get my license. I want to go buy a car. What my sisters do? They bought me a car. You know what I mean? Help me out to get my license. You know what I mean? Like that support with my sisters and my family, and they know the mindset that I'm at, that I'm not the 19-year-old that was running around with his head chopped off, that I've grown up to be a man and all the things that I want to do. They know that I want to do it in a positive way or in the right way. So I don't return to jail, that I'm not back in the same lifestyle or path that I was at before. And just knowing that all the things that I dreamt about or wanted to do, that I'm able to do it now because I'm not in that mindset. You know what I mean? That the way I'm doing it now is like, I want to do everything right. You know what I mean? To be with my family, my sisters, because listen, my sister loves me, my mother loves me and everything, and I never want to ever disappoint them ever again. And I don't want to disappoint anybody in my family. Everybody that loves me and support me, I don't plan on disappointing them. You know what I mean? Because they know where I'm at mentally, and they know that I want to be there with them, to be able to enjoy, like birthdays, holidays, special events, the mud run, the zombie run. You know what I mean? That was a special moment for me and my sister, and you and Kev and my nephew. That shit was great. That was a hell of an experience. Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean for those of you watching at the end of the episode, I'll go ahead and put in a whole bunch of pictures and videos from the zombie run just so you guys can get an idea for what we actually did. But yeah, I mean, being able to experience that every year is just it's something that we've been doing for a while, but I'm excited that you get to be a part of that tradition from now on.
Yeah, definitely there. We got to survive the zombies.
So last but not least, man, so I want you to do a plug for me. So what barbershop are you working at? Where are you working at? Tell people where they can hit you up. I'm trying to get you as much business and clientele as I can.
All right. Right now I'm working at Trinity Barbershop. It's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's on 110 East Clay Street. Usually there Tuesday through Saturday from 9:30 to 6, 7 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? You can hit me up on my phone, or you can we got a website, Trinity Barbershop. Book appointments, walk-ins. You know what I mean? We don't do all the pricey cuts now. Let's do $25 a haircut. You know what I mean? We're gonna get you in, get you sharp, and send you on your way looking nice.
There we go. I mean, what so you're in a place right now where you get to enjoy life, and I'm sure looking back 20 years ago, you probably didn't think you'd be here today where you are right now. What advice would you give to somebody who, is out living that life and maybe going through things and doesn't really know what to do? What advice would you give to somebody?
I'm just like this, man. Just think about the choices you make. and what the consequence is going to be before you make that action. Because seriously, once you make that action, you can't take it back. You know what I mean? You got to think about what you're going to lose, what you'll never get. You know what I mean? The people you're going to affect, because you're not affecting yourself. You're affecting your family. You're affecting the victims, your community, everything. You know what I mean? By your actions. You know what I mean? Your actions, them consequences, listen, them consequences can cost a lot.
Yeah, man. A lifetime if you're not.
A lifetime. You know what I
not
mean?
careful,
Look, I got 20 years. 20 years, you know what I mean? Most people, they consider you not an adult till you're 21. 20 years. 20 years, you lose too much in 20 years.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I don't have my 20s. I'm about to be 40 years old. Miss my 30s. You know what I mean? I tell dudes, you miss too much. 20s, you're supposed to be your glory years. You know what I mean?
Man.
You're supposed to be living life at that time. You know what I mean? And your 30s, you're supposed to be establishing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm 40 years old and I got to start establishing myself now.
That's cool, because the most important thing is that you're here now. You got support, you got family, you got friends, you got a job. And after this interview, we gonna make you a little celebrity around Lancaster. You know what I mean? Your phone gonna be blown up. But
that'd be good.
So I'm gonna let everybody know right now two things. One, again, at the end of this episode, I'm gonna go ahead and post some pictures and videos of the zombie run, the 5K that we did, and I'm gonna hit up Noel for a haircut. I'm gonna let you know if he's nice. I'm gonna let you know how his clipper game is. So you know what I mean. I'm gonna be a walking business card right here for him. But nah,
exactly.
I appreciate you coming on. We ended up it was crazy because the way that Zio talked about you, I was like, he sounds like a real cool guy, but after 20 years, I mean, you never really know how somebody's going to react to the real world. Me and Zio were like, that's again, it's a big sister out there. So, at the run, I feel like all of us just kind of hit it off and we were having a good time joking around. We went out, ate and drank afterwards. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like my relationship with her kind of transitioned to a relationship with you. So I'm becoming for haircuts from now on. I'm be, I'm saying once this whole COVID thing is gonna be hitting the gym up. Like I'm trying to, just Zio always talks about family, is real important to her.
Yeah.
And I never really, I knew it was a big deal, but she would always get mad at me whenever I wouldn't, come hang out, or make time. And I'm like, it took me a while just to realize how important family and keeping relationships are to her. And now I see why, I mean, because when you lose somebody for so long, it's like you just, and people in your life, you start losing loved ones. Like me and Zio bonded over, I had a brother who passed away. I know you guys had a sister who passed away. So we ended up bonding over that. So, you just start to realize what's important in life as you start to get older. And so, I got a lot of respect for what you did, man. I look up to you, and I'm happy that people are going to get to hear your story and have it not be a sad one. People celebrate what's going on right now because it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. I mean, if one thing I can say about people, I'll say, man, love your loved ones. You know what I mean? Because believe me, when things is hard, they're the ones that are there to support you.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, Noel, again, man, I appreciate you coming on, having this conversation. This will probably get posted here in a few days, and what I mean, I'll hit you up for that haircut. I'm gonna text you once we get off here.
I got you. Say no more, man.
Take it easy, man.
And peace.